All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to today's session. Today we are privileged to have Chisom Chima that will be taking us on today's session. She's a software engineer with vast experiences, and she's going to show us how to integrate artificial intelligence in our development process. So I believe as a developer, we all use IDEs, right? Whether it's IntelliJ based or JetBrains based or VS Code and so on. So she's going to show you how to leverage the power of artificial intelligence in Google's AI tool, which is Antigravity, right? So a lot of people have been asking about Antigravity for the past couple of days since we started. So today is the time for you to make sure you engage with her and ask questions. So as usual, it's going to be up to her. She may want to stop in between to ask to allow people to ask questions, or she may want to wait till the end. Regarding recording, we are recording the session, so you are going to get this after. So please let's use virtual claps to welcome Chisom Chima.
All right. Thank you, Baraka. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's session. I'm going to be sharing my screen now, and just give me a thumbs up if you are able to see my screen. All right. Thank you. All right. So just as Baraka mentioned, today we are going to be talking about, developing using Google Antigravity. So before I actually, before we dive into what anti-gravity looks like, I would like us to just kind of see how far we have come as developers. We all know that we are all coming from somewhere, prior to this evolution of AI. And that's hence the topic, Google Antigravity, from code editors to agentic IDEs, how software development is changing. So first of all, let's look at how hard it is to build software in the first place. We all know that before you, no matter how simple your app is, you have to come up with, you have to think of several scenarios. You have to think about the front end, you need to think about the back end, you need to think about authentication, APIs, infrastructure. Sometimes, even when you're talking of front end, you begin to think about what should be the best technology. Should I use React? Should I use Vue? Should I use Angular? Or should I just use vanilla JavaScript? Also, in the back end, there are a plethora of languages to work with. You have Node.js, you have .NET, Python, and then you're left with, and then there's always improvement. And it kind of, no matter how little the app is, you are kind of confused at first on what to use, what should be the best thing to go with. Then, secondly, most of the time, the setup, most of your time goes to the setup and not to building your actual idea. So sometimes you are also stuck in even maybe just wiring or even coming up with how the template of the application is. Sometimes the one you used today may not be the best tomorrow. And, technology is changing fast. And then the stacks keeps growing, but developers' hours are not growing. You can all agree with me that when you started coding, let's say for those of us that started way earlier, to be honest, the amount of I think we have React 19 now, but some people started way when React was like maybe just React 4. or even when they were just using class-based components. And now things have evolved over time, and you have to keep, evolving as well as these technologies are evolving. So, so building a software is not as straightforward as I have an idea and you immediately implement it. There are so many things that actually go into, building softwares. Now, this brings us to like the development bottlenecks. And the bottleneck is not skills, it's just the friction that comes with it, right? Just as we mentioned, choosing the right tools. Sometimes you may even choose the right tools, but you're like, okay, there's this new version. Maybe instead of us using React, let's use Next. Instead of us using Vue.js, let's use Next. Or if you're like, no, Express is good. No, use Next. So like everybody, there's this debate, which one is better than what? And even, sometimes you have to write boilerplates over and over again. So the same way you do create React app or next node init and all of that, sometimes you have to do those things over and over again. And sometimes, as developers, we don't like repeating ourselves. We prefer anything that is automated. Automation is just king. And also wiring up some parts are just not easy. Sometimes just integration, debugging, and between different services is not as straightforward, right? And because of this, there's usually friction. You could see in teams, people are maybe debating within themselves, or even you as a person, you're trying to build this project, but because you're bombarded with a whole lot of technologies, you're kind of confused on which one to go with. So what this means is that the developer role is shifting. Times have changed, right? I remember back then, before you ship one feature, you would think about before you ship a feature. Sometimes it may take up to 2 weeks because you're thinking about so many parts of the code. And you're writing everything manually. You'd go to Stack Overflow, searching. You're mostly searching for answers most of the time. And by the time you now begin to write it, it would have passed, maybe 2 weeks has passed before that feature is shipped. Or maybe it may even enter the next sprint for those people who are who are using maybe Jira. You could go into the next sprint. So sometimes one feature you find yourself, battling within yourselves and even within yourself. And times are now changing. What we are now doing now is that we are no longer writing anything. We are now doing more design, system design, more of system designs. And we are now connecting services and managing complexities. We are now making architectural decisions that shape the whole product. So what all of this means is that now in the future, now that we are at present, we don't know what the future holds. Maybe by then the computers are doing everything. But as for now, we are now like architects, and then the computers or the AIs we have begin to do those things for us. So it's just like you have you're like a director in a movie, and then you have these actors that you're telling them what to do, and they do exactly what it is. So you're just like a director or a reviewer. So now developers are becoming more system architects, and the value is now in thinking and direction and not in typing. So I remember back then, many people were always showing, there were people who were trying so hard to, show their skills, that they were like the best coders, they can code fast. Sometimes we will be doing like typing tests. Back then to be a developer was very, nerdy, and you had to go deep and understand things deeper. But now we are shifting away from all of that. We now have AI, and we have AI agents, just as Baraka taught us yesterday. And these agents are beginning to make life easier, and we are now becoming architects, more of architects in the whole development cycle. And what this brings is that now all we just have to do is, have a goal, an objective, You can even brainstorm with these AIs to give you the best output or the best way to go about this. Sorry about that. So we brainstorm with these AIs, and then once we have a clear path, we now work with these agents to make development easier. And I think we're going to see more on that when we dive deeper into anti-gravity. All right, now the gist of everything agentic AI. Yesterday we had all we saw a lot about agentic AI. We saw Abarca even fine-tuned like a gamma model specifically for specifically for health. But now we also have that now in development. Things are changing drastically in the development space, and if you do not follow the train, you are going to be left behind, unfortunately. The advantage of this as well is that it means that junior developers now can easily, start building something on time. So I remember the learning curve was quite steep. When you're learning, it's a lot of concept to grasp at the same time. And then sometimes while you're even learning it, you're debugging so much that you find yourself in one bug for like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and maybe at the end of the day, it was a semicolon or a hyphen or something very ridiculous. But now we have these AI agents that are making life so easy that you can easily, I can see some bugs that I can imagine some of those bugs that caused issues for me back then. And I'm imagining myself learning in this time and in this time of AI, and I can imagine how easy it would have been for me to have fixed that in seconds. But now, we now have AI agents, and agentic AIs act as autonomous agents. They plan and execute multiple workflows to achieve a goal with minimal human intervention. So, when ChatGPT came out in, I think, 2022, ending of 2022, we were all shocked. And I think what ChatGPT could do at the time was, what it did was that we asked it something and it could tell us something back. And then now we now have even multimodal models now, that once you ask it a question, you could tell it to generate a text for you and it will generate it for you. You could ask it to generate an image and it will generate an image. And you could ask it to generate a video and it will generate that for you. And that's what we call generative AI. And that's like the traditional AI we are used to. But now we are now moving into the age of agentic AI. And the age of agentic AI is that you don't have to, it needs minimal human interaction. So you could just give it a goal that takes multiple steps, that requires a lot of planning, understanding, and brainstorming. And this AI will be able to create workflows. And using these workflows, it can be able to plan and then work autonomously. So yeah, that's it with agentic AI. I'm not going to go too deeply into it because Baraka did a lot yesterday. But then that brings us to the agentic IDEs. What this means for us is that now we're now shifting from just writing, but now we can just give the AI a goal, and it will be able to create workflows around it, and it will be able to plan around that goal that we have, and to be able to execute. So the shift in practice: you describe what you want to build in plain language. The system helps scaffold the structure and generate code and catch errors. You review, guide, and refine instead of typing everything from scratch. So the new developer superpower is no longer typing fast. The new developer superpower is ability to think, good direction, and even system design. So we are now orchestrators, we are now architects, and we are able to guide the agents to be able to do exactly what we want them to do. Now, your most valuable skill is no longer knowing every syntax. It is knowing what to build and why. And I think that sums it up. And you can see in this hackathon, we've done everything in our power to kind of make development as easy as possible. All that is left in the world of so much ease of development now is ability to think. Now we are seeing that thinking is greater than you being able to type. So hopefully on Saturday, we are going to see the innovations that a lot of you are going to come up with, and we are going to see, it's going to be like we are rewarding the best thinkers, you see. So that's just the beauty of agentic AI. So what's an agentic IDE? So an agentic IDE now that we already know what agentic AI is, we know that an agentic AI is an AI that can think for itself and plan by itself and create workflows and execute those workflows. We can automatically understand that other outside your traditional IDE, there is now an agentic IDE, which means this IDE you can be able to give it, a goal, and it will be able to create workflows around it. It can plan around it, and it will execute your code for you. So I think we saw a bit of that in Google's AI Studio, but it was not done within the context of an IDE. So now we are seeing all of that in the context of an IDE today. Right. So since we're going to be talking about Google Antigravity, I came up with this infographic from Gemini. You could just go to Gemini AI and tell it to generate an infographic of anything, and it will do that. So with Gemini, I asked it to create an infographic to make us understand Google Antigravity behind the scenes. All right, we know it's an IDE is an agentic IDE. But how does it actually do all of this behind the scenes? So how it works is, from this first image, you can see that there's human input. So the human input is you write a natural language prompt, you can describe a task, and you can review and approve. You're not writing much code, you're just doing review and approval. You see that you are not doing so much writing, but reviewing. But then the major thing is for us to get something from the agent, we write a prompt or we describe a task. Now, when you do that, Google Antigravity has two major interfaces that you interact with. We have the agent manager, which you're going to see very soon, but just see the agent manager as the orchestration or like a dashboard or a higher level progress dashboard. To be honest, what I see in simple English, it's where I can go and look at my history, my past conversations and my future conversations with my with the agent. So Google kind of created this very nice interface that you can go to, so that in case you want to go back in history or you want to give a prompt within that time in history. So they have this agent manager there. The next thing they have is the editor. And the editor is just basically, if you've used VS Code, you've used any IDE that you love, looks like that. So this editor is the other interface that you are able to interact with and use to edit code. There you have your code view, you have your terminal window, you have your file structure, just the way VS Code looks. So now, these are the two interfaces that Google Antigravity gives you. Now, that agent does these things. It does the planning, it does the coding, it runs terminals, it does the testing for you. So Google Antigravity basically does everything that you need to, you as a developer have to do when you're looking at a blank VS Code screen. It does the planning, the coding, all of that, the running and the testing. And it returns some things. Okay, we have the agents toolkits. So the two kits that we have on the agents are, we have the models. So the models is where you are the different, is basically the core of the agent, is the brain. So we have different agents, and it has Gemini Pro, it has Claude in it, it has GPT-4, and I just added some things here to just make you understand what some of these agents are, but I will not be going too deep in them. And we have an integrated browser. So the beautiful thing is Google Antigravity has an integrated browser that does end-to-end testing for you, and you're able to, it takes screenshots and show you what you have already, you've built already. It also has this MCP server plugins. I would have loved to go deep into integrating an MCP server here, but it's a nice to know. It's nice to know, but I wouldn't be doing that because it would. I just didn't see any way I could do it without exposing keys. So, but then there's the MCP server plugin as well. Okay, let me just give you an overview of what MCP servers are. So just see MCP server as like a middleman between your agent and maybe something you want it to interact with. For example, Figma. Let me use Figma. For the people who are like front-end engineers, I think I have integrated my Figma. I used I integrated my Figma to my Antigravity using MCP server. And the beautiful thing with MCP server is that Antigravity now can now go into my Figma account and see everything within that Figma design. And I can just tell it, you know what, since you're in this Figma document, I want you to use all the style guides in that Figma document and generate the code for something. I have done that before and it made my development extremely fast. So yeah, that's just one thing, one interaction I'm talking about, but you can make it interact with even your postman. So if you want Antigravity to have access to your postman, you could just get an MCP server in between and just connect. No worry, just go and watch a video. It's not very hard. Just get the keys and connect it to your Antigravity, and then you have access to postman. And once you have access to that postman, you can now Antigravity now has access to your documentations, your API documentations, and it will do everything for you for integration. So it kind of makes it very easy. Yeah, it's really cool. So that's one of the beautiful things. In fact, Antigravity is just amazing, right? Then the next thing is it's able to now give you output. So after all of this, it also has an output. The agent Antigravity has output that is stored in your local computer, in your project. So the things you see in your project are your code files and some artifacts. So these are some artifacts that are usually generated whenever you are creating projects in Antigravity. It has this task checklist. You would see it. It has this video walkthrough through this integrated browser and screenshots through this integrated browser. So that's it with my slide. Now let's just jump into Google Antigravity and see how it looks. All right. So if you want to download Google Antigravity, so you could just come to Google Antigravity here, and you should be able to download it, right? You can download for Mac OS, whatever. Once you just download it, you just click next, the execution file, and then you have this. So when you come in here, I'm just going to explain what we are looking at, because right now it looks it looks like a lot, but especially for those who have never really done any coding whatsoever. So on this far left here, we have our files where you see your file explorer. We have the code search. We have here for Git, for your source control, just to show you your how basically if this was a GitHub, just basically to show your changes, your file changes using Git. We have extensions. Most of the time I use the extensions, the search, this one, and this one. So extensions, if you want to download some really cool extensions, you can do that here. Then another thing to note, when you come to this place, you're going to see on the agents, we have auto execution. Oh wow, you need to put it in request review most of the time, because what this means, based on the information, is that agents would never ask for confirmation before executing. So basically, do you want the agent to constantly ask you for review, or do you want the agent to just execute a command on its own? I always advise to always request a review, because we always want that human, interaction. But if you don't want to interact with it whatsoever, you can just click on always proceed. Same thing here. Review policy. It's always advisable you put it in request review, so that it always asks you before executing any command. Then up here, we have some customizations, and we have that MCP server that we spoke about. If you click on this MCP server, you can see so many things that you can connect to. You see, so you can connect to Firebase. A lot of things can be connected to here. So I'm not just going to go deep into it. It's very easy. It's as simple as you going to go and generate an API key and uploading it here. All right. So yeah, so we have this part. In this part, we have in your chatbots like looking interface, you have this part that shows planning and fast. So you always want to have it in planning, obviously, because you want this agent to be able to plan before executing tasks. You want to use it for deep research and complex tasks. So planning means that you want the model to be able to reason. You want it to, come up with workflows and be able to implement them. Then those models, which are the brain of anti-gravity that we spoke about here, you can see them. All of them are here. So I think that's most of the things. So yeah, you can open Agent Manager here as well as open Agent Manager here. So if you open Agent Manager, it's actually on my other screen. I'm going to show you guys just a moment. 1 second. So this is what the Agent Manager looks like. So you can see that the Agent Manager just tracks all your apps and all the conversations you had within that app, right? It's like keeping a history or a tab of everything, and you can even write everything. You can still make your you can also write you can also give it a prompt as well to execute from here, and you're able to see all the files changed based on that conversation. So all of that is being tracked on the Agent Manager. All right, I'm going to close this down. I just wanted to do this so we can see what it looks like. So to get a project, you can just click on this, go to documents, and maybe select whatever project you want. So if I select like this medic demo app, I'm going to show you how it looks, because I already have it open here, so there's no need opening it from there anymore. All right. Let's close this down now so you can see what it looks like. All right. So I want us to look at this application, and basically I wanted to build like a medical demo application, right? And we can just look through here, or we can look through our manager, and you are going to be able to see everything, all the conversations I had with it. You'll find out that the first thing I told it was it should, in this folder, it should create a new React 19 project called Medic Pulse, leveraging Tailwind CSS and Vite, right? And you can see how it said I have created an implementation plan. So it created an implementation plan on its own, and you can see the implementation plan it's created. it wrote on its own, what the plan of the implementation is going to look like. And if you want to see more of this, you see it in the artifacts we spoke about earlier. Remember, we said it also shows us artifacts. So you can see the artifacts that you can see the artifacts we spoke about. We said it has a task checklist, it has a video walkthrough, and it has screenshots. So these were the artifacts that were generated from this prompt I gave it. You can see this is the video it generated. Then you see the walkthrough that it gave us, and you can see the tasks it wrote. So these were the tasks it gave itself. So the task is just similar to when you create a to-do list as a developer, and then as it's generating it, it's automatically ticking the boxes. So let's say we want to so upon writing this, it did all of that stuff, and it created the, once you see continue, just know that there was like network error, and I was telling it to proceed. And then it said I have successfully initialized Medipulse project using React 19. And it gave me the next steps, and it showed me the walkthrough and everything. And the next prompt I gave it was a simple UI. And it created, I didn't even write anything. I didn't even write anything important. And it just automatically knew that after implementing this React app, it's supposed to create this UI for me. And now it generated this. This was the UI I gave it, which is very similar to the UI that it ended up using. This was the UI I gave it, and this was what was returned for me. So this is one way to use it. We can decide to create, I can decide to tell it to create another, maybe the patient's. One second, let me just copy an image. Let me copy an image and paste here. So I can tell it to create the patient screen using the above UI. Patient's record. Let's just see how it works. So you can see it's thinking about what we have said, and it's creating it's editing our implementation plan, the one that we had before. And you can click on it, you can open it, read it, and see if it's exactly what you want. Let's go to this place. You can be able to read it more. And then the beautiful thing is here, you can even add comments and say, no, maybe I don't want something. I think Antigravity is the only one that allows you to add comments within the implementation plan. And you can edit it. You can drop a comment, and it will be able to execute it from your comment. And you click on proceed. This is going to take a while. I can decide to accept all. So the whole essence of all of this is so that we focus more on the thinking part and not much on the coding part, because the thinking part is more critical than the coding at this point. I'm not saying coding is bad. Make sure you understand the basics. Understanding the basics is greater than anything, because obviously now that you are an architect, you have to know when your AI is writing something that doesn't make sense, and you are supposed to be able to know when to correct it. So if you don't know the basics, you won't be able to correct it. or if you don't know the best architecture to use, you wouldn't know the best. You wouldn't know how to help or instruct the AI. For example, I currently know that React 19, it's not advisable to use something like use effects when we have we have new hooks that are replacing use effects. So if you have that kind of knowledge and it's still using use effects in certain parts of your code, you would know that what it's writing is not up to standard, or maybe even the structure of the files isn't so great. You can be able to tell it exactly how you want to architect it and all of that. All right, let's see. As you can see, it's writing everything in the app, which is wrong. So this is already poor architecture. Also, we already know that we should have been more specific in our prompt. So the result is always as good as the prompt you give it. So yeah, let's ask it to run. Yeah, it's still running. But I want it to run the application in the browser. So if I had not made this setting to the request review, it will just be running without asking me to accept all or not. I think it's trying to fix some errors. It's running into some build errors and it's trying to fix it. So previously, you would have, if once your app breaks. But now, it can even think on its own and look for how to fix itself, which is amazing. All right. While this task is completing, I think I would, because, okay, I think we have a little bit more time. I wanted to show you guys a different way to handle this as well. So instead of you speaking to it in this manner, you could create a proper markdown file that explains, basically, that's you sitting down and doing the main thinking. Think about your architecture, think about the language, think about everything that you would like to be done in your application. And once you've sat down and come up with the best architecture for your application, you could create an MD file within your application and you can ask Anthropic to be able to go into that document and generate an application based on that document. So while this is happening in the background, I can show you one that I did. For me, I feel like this is a more effective way of one of the best ways to just get things out quickly. And what is going to be, what to also make people, just to shock you, I just used only one, I used only one prompt to be able to get a product, a working prototype. So basically, all you just have to do is create like so let me explain how I did it, because why I'm not going to do this now is because it actually took a long time for it to be done. But all you just have to do is create your project folder, right? Then you create a style guide. So you can create a style guide, write everything like the colors, everything. Why you even need this is because it's going to be a constant, and you don't want anti-gravity or the agents to be confused. Sometimes it begins to lag in terms of keeping understanding context. So once you always have your style guide available, you can also create. You can call this anything. You can call it maybe architecture.md. But then I went to Google Gemini. I told it to give me a very standard architecture for a crypto application. And it gave me this file. I didn't do so much thinking. I just saw this and I felt it was good enough. So it's the way our application is, it's listed out the core technology. You see that the framework is React, styling is Tailwind, icons is this, charts is Richards, data fetching, you see, even state management. I told you to use optimistic instead of use effect. Slash, I told you the different routes, slash market, all of that. And each of those routes, we explain everything that's about that particular route. And the core functionalities, we even gave you the endpoints. We told it. So this document can be as large as whatever product you want. So you can spend as much time here instead of doing all that back and forth iteration that I'm doing in this part of the code base. So I think we're done here. I can tell you to run it in the browser. But that aside, so in this other project, I did all of this. Then I just ran this only this prompt. I told you that I had prepared a project blueprint using this, and that the visual specifications are in that style guide. And I told you that I should build an application. Just for those who cannot see, it has created the patient records. I hope you guys can still see my screen. Sorry, let me put it up here. Now I have a lot of screens. So it has created the page. It has created the page. So I just gave it an image, and it was able to come up with something amazing. Yeah. This is good enough, right? We have something amazing here already. So imagine if you were building a very big application, all of this is done immediately with just how many prompts. But now I wrote all of this. I gave it a style guide and all of that, and I gave it this one prompt just for proof. You can go back to our manager and you find out that in crypto demo app, I have only this one prompt here. Every other thing you see is continue or proceed. Continue because of network. I had network issues. So you can see our artifact. It had this walkthrough. It has the tasks. See all the tasks it's generated and all of the tasks that was completed. We have this implementation plan, which it's generated as well. And if we should run this application now, let's see. And we come in here. Let's see what our app look like. In one prompt, we were able to generate a complete dashboard using our style guide, and we can see our market overview of this crypto application. We have the market. Oh, 1 second. We have our market explorer. You can see all of this. I can add to my watch list here, and if you come to the watch list, you can see the crypto apps that I am watching. It even has this search functionality as well, and you can see that at least for just one prompt and just all of this, you are able to get this. And the beautiful thing is you can continue to improve on this. You can continue to improve your MD file and it continues. From that, you can also always refer to it to be able to be consistent in terms of style, and so that it reduces hallucination for the agent. So yeah, anytime you see it go off, it's actually because of I'm using CoinGecko. It's a free API. So when it notices that I'm clicking a lot, it shows this 400 error saying that there are several calls. But yeah, we have this method, one method, which is, listing, basically architecting your application, or you can just stick to using images, giving it the image and it builds it for you. This one works when it's a very big application and you just want to work incrementally. But this one, if you want to draft a quick prototype, maybe you have an idea and you want to. This has helped me several times because I've had an idea several times and I just want to get a prototype as fast as possible. With all of these agentic IDEs, it just makes it very easy for me to generate a working prototype and show the person, and the person will just be amazed that, oh my god, you have it done, and they will think it's live already. But yeah, it just helps you with prototyping really quickly and getting an MVP fast before time. So yeah, this is, I think that's all I have. I think I can say for Google Antigravity. It's going to really, it's, you can see the beauty. It's just amazing. I think we all saw that of Google Studio, AI Studio, but I think for the people that like coding, this is going to be way, way better. Yeah. Do we have any questions? Yes, Paul. Yeah, Paul.
Okay,
I
good
see your
evening.
hand. All right, good evening.
Yes, good evening, everybody. My question is this. Let's say I'm working on a project already before I see the importance of anti-gravity, and
Hmm.
then I want to use anti-gravity to amplify and continue working from there.
Hmm.
Is it possible for anti-gravity to read through what I've already worked on and then
Yeah.
help me continue? Is that possible?
Yes. Yes. Most of my projects, you can see there are some projects, very old projects, like this one.
Okay.
There are others that I also deleted so that you guys don't get to see it. But then I had several projects here, and they are all like legacy code, very old code bases. And with that, I'll just tell it. You can even tell it. You can say, let's say you want to refer to a file. You can say maybe I usually copy. Let's say I'll copy, or let's just say like once you say art and you write, you can say files, and to just give you, you can start writing app. Don't I have an app.css? Yeah, I can select. So you can refer to a particular file within your code base, you see, and you can now tell it inside app.css. You can say, I don't want something to look like something. I want it to be handled like this. Or I can say, like right now, I think the issue we have is that everything is in one file. I can say, can you separate records? So just imagine that this was just, I left this project, I built this project from a totally different application. I could just come here and say, can you separate the patient records uh, and add and put it in a new file? And it will do it for me because it has context. It's within this code base. So yeah, I have used it on older projects before and it doesn't affect it. I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Uh, All right. Do we have any more questions? All right. I think in the absence of no questions, maybe that means everyone understands it. So maybe I'll ask a question. What is agentic AI? Does anybody want to answer? All right. Mr. Barker, I'll just leave it here.
Thank you very much, Chisom. It was a very good one. You covered like very different angles of using anti-gravity. And one of the things I just want to highlight also is the necessity for, developers, especially in this part of the world, we don't like, I think someone has answered your question in the chat. People are shy of speaking. We don't like to document, right? So, but one of the beauty of what you've shown now is the fact that even when you are giving it prompts and images, it was actually documenting the project for you. So whoever comes to inherit this project can use those implementation plans and every other artifact that was generated by the agent, right? To know, okay, this is the stage or the direction of this particular project and how they can continue from there. Then even when it comes to like you engineering your general prompt in the README file, it was actually well documented as well, which means someone else can follow. So I'm going to encourage everyone against Saturday, we're going to have a hands-on anti-gravity session. So I advise people to download and install anti-gravity. We're going to share this video and you can go through it also to see, okay, what can you pull from what Chisom has shown us. And again, I want to appreciate everybody for showing up. We are going to have our final session tomorrow. The final session is not really technical, but it's going to prepare you on how to pitch and present your ideas so that you can get investors interested in what you're going to show. And it's also going to set expectation for how you are going to be, for those people that are participating in the hackathon, on how you are going to be judged on the final day. So without wasting much time, I think we can call it a night. Thank you again to our amazing speaker for this session. Really appreciate your time. I will see you guys same time tomorrow.
Thank you.